RJ Ferraro here, bringing you another car talk. Today we're going to talk a little bit about alimony. Now, some people ask me, am I going to have to pay alimony or am I going to get alimony? And if so, how long and how much? The bottom line is, it depends. There is no cookie cutter formula for determining alimony. The standard of proof in an alimony case is quite simple. Is there a need for one spouse to have support, and does the other spouse have the ability to pay? There's a whole bunch of factors that the judge has to look at, including how long have you been married? What has been the work situation throughout the marriage? Has one person stayed home either to raise the children or to be a homemaker? What is the situation as far as the lifestyle? When the judge is considering a lifestyle analysis, for example, they're going to look to the standard of living that was created during the marriage. Was the person who's looking for alimony in a position where they could get their hair done every single week and did so? Did they get massages every single week? Did they go on lavish vacations? Were there gifts that were both given and received on a frequent basis throughout the marriage? Was there an Amazon account? How much money did you typically spend during the marriage? We're looking at the person who's going to receive the alimony's ability to earn a job, at what pay level, and if necessary, what kinds of income can they either receive now or get themselves to in the near future. There's a lot of different kinds of alimony too. Usually when people think of alimony, they're thinking of permanent alimony. Permanent alimony, basically, when you pay alimony until the judge tells you to stop. And it's always modifiable by the judge, and the time to modify is usually after somebody's retired or had a significant change in income through no fault of their own. So permanent alimony is usually reserved for long-term marriages over 16 years, but sometimes people can be married for less than a long-term marriage. In fact, there's a presumption in favor of alimony in a long-term marriage when one spouse has a need and the other has the ability to pay. And there's a presumption against permanent alimony in a case that is not a long-term marriage, unless there are special circumstances. Now, another kind of alimony is temporary alimony. Temporary alimony is the alimony you would pay while the case is pending. In a temporary situation, typically the judge is only looking at need and ability to pay. There's also something called short-term alimony. This is alimony that's paid after the final judgment of the divorce, but doesn't go on forever. This could be in a case where it's not a long-term marriage, sometimes even a short-term marriage, usually for some point up to half the marriage. Although that is not set in stone, it could be for 8 years, it could be for 10 years, it could be for 20 years. But the point is, it wouldn't be forever or until the judge tells you to stop. There would be a defined time when the alimony terminates. Another type of alimony is rehabilitative alimony. There needs to be a defined plan on how to get you from point A to point B, and there needs to be a pretty good idea, a budget of what it's going to cost you to do that, whether it needs books, tuition, fees and costs, whatever those might be. If those are outlined for the judge, a lot of times the judge will consider rehabilitative alimony. There are other kinds of alimony like bridge the gap alimony. Bridge the gap alimony might be if you were married to an NBA star. You lived off of $15 million a year. But without that NBA star, you're probably not going to make much more than $10 or $15 an hour. You might be entitled to some form of bridge the gap alimony to get you basically a cushion from the standard of living you had during the marriage back to whatever it's going to be moving forward. Usually bridge the gap alimony is fairly short term, maybe a year or two, but that again is going to sort of lessen the blow from the lifestyle you had, the life of luxury, to whatever you're going to end up with now that you've made the decision to get the divorce. So I hope this has helped to explain some of the different forms of alimony, and if you have more questions about that, just give us a call or check us out at FerraroLawGroup.com. We're happy to give you a confidential consultation.